I heard the shot before I saw the smoke. A single, cracking thunderclap that split the morning air like God himself was calling judgment. I dropped my coffee. My boots hit the porch with a slam, and I tore across the yard toward the back pasture. My heart thudded louder than the echo bouncing off the hills. I already knew. Deep down, in that part of your gut that twists when you're about to lose something precious, I knew. But I still prayed I was wrong. That bull wasn't just an animal. He was my pride. My investment. My future. A purebred Black Angus named Hercules. Over 2,000 pounds of muscle and bloodline, worth every penny of the 50 grand I'd saved across 5 long years of work. He was supposed to be the foundation of my new ranching business. My clean break from the city. My shot at something real. And now he was lying motionless in the grass, a pool of red staining the spring-green blades beneath him. I didn't even see the hunters at first. I saw the hole in the fence. I saw the posted signs, bright orange, and no trespassing, private property, bullet-riddled like some kind of sick joke. And then, out from the brush, they strolled out. 3 of them. Camouflage, grins, rifles slung over their shoulders like this was a game. One of them, a big guy in a red ball cap, raised a hand like he expected me to wave back. I didn't wave. I roared. I sprinted. "You killed my bull!" I shouted, voice raw with fury. "You're on private land!" "Who the hell told you this was okay?" The guy blinked, clearly caught off guard by my rage. Then he shrugged. "Lady down the road said it was fine," he said. "Said this field was part of the public access zone." "Lady down the?" My gut dropped through the floor. Karen. Full name, Karen Middleton. President of our local HOA, self-appointed neighborhood overlord, and the reason my life had become a slow-burning hell since the day I moved in. She lived 3 lots down, behind a pristine white fence and an even wider smile that covered up the fact she was the pettiest, nosiest, most manipulative woman I'd ever met. And now, apparently, she'd taken it upon herself to invite hunters onto my land. I told the hunters to leave. No, I screamed at them to leave, and when they saw the dead bull and the look in my eyes, they didn't argue. They hightailed it back into the woods, muttering apologies that did nothing to fix what they'd done. I knelt beside Hercules, my hand brushing the thick, coarse hair of his neck, and something broke in me. Not just grief. Not just anger. But a cold determination. Karen hadn't just crossed the line. She'd declared war. But before I could plan my next move, I heard tires crunching down the gravel road. A white Lexus crawled to a stop at the edge of my property, and out stepped Karen herself. Blonde bob, pastel cardigan, and that trademark smirk like she was stepping onto the set of a soap opera. "Oh dear," she said, voice syrupy sweet. "I heard the shot. Is everything okay?" I stood, fists clenched. "Don't play dumb. You told them they could hunt on my land." Karen tilted her head like a confused puppy. "I assumed it was community land. You don't even have a proper gate. And your fence is, well, it's not up to code." My jaw dropped. She sounded proud of herself. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" I said. "That bull was worth $50,000. Karen's eyes went wide for a fraction of a second, then her expression snapped back into that smug mask. "Well," she said, brushing invisible lint off her sleeve, "that's what insurance is for, right? You should really consider a better policy if your animals are that expensive." I couldn't breathe. My hands shook with the effort not to lunge at her. She turned and walked back to her car, calling over her shoulder like this was some afternoon coffee chat. "Maybe next time, put up clearer signs. I'll make a note at the next HOA meeting." Then she drove away, leaving me standing over the body of the one thing I'd built my future around, feeling like the ground beneath me had cracked wide open. But what Karen didn't know, what she would know soon, is that I don't let people like her win. She might have taken my bull, but I was about to take everything from her. The HOA meeting was held every second Thursday in the local community center, one of those beige buildings that smelled like old coffee and disinfectant. Normally, only a handful of retirees showed up, sipping lukewarm tea and squabbling over hedge heights or barking dogs. But tonight, I made sure the room was packed. Flyers, emails, a few strategic posts in the neighborhood Facebook group. Urgent HOA meeting, trespass incident. Community safety at risk. I didn't have to lie. Just let the truth speak loud enough. By 6:30, every folding chair was taken, and Karen was already squirming. She hadn't seen me when she walked in. She'd made her rounds, air kisses to her allies, passive-aggressive comments about someone's lawn. She probably thought this was just another meeting she could run like a high school prom committee. But then I stood up, and the room went still. "I'm calling for an official complaint," I said loud and clear, "against Karen Middleton for authorizing trespassers to enter private property, which led to the death of livestock and destruction of fencing. I want it on the record." Karen blinked. "Excuse me?" I didn't back down. I pulled out the photos: Hercules lying in the grass, the hole in the fence, the posted signs. Gasps went up around the room. People leaned forward, eyes wide. "You told armed hunters my land was open," I said. "And they killed a $50,000 bull. That's not a misunderstanding. That's negligence." Karen laughed, but it was brittle, sharp. "Oh, come on. You don't own the hillside. I have the deed." I cut in. "Surveyed and filed. County records confirm it. You had no right." And then something incredible happened. People started nodding. Not just my friends, but folks who usually stayed quiet. Old Mr. Davison from the cul-de-sac muttered, "She did the same with my garden last spring." A mother near the back whispered, "She threatened to fine me over a kiddie pool." Karen's face strained. "Now hold on, none of this is relevant, isn't it?" I said. "How many of you have been pushed around by Karen? Fined without warning? Threatened with HOA violations over holiday lights, or mailboxes, or paint colors?" The room erupted. A man stood up, Pete, the guy with the 3 rescue dogs. "She tried to make me get rid of my pups 'cause they were too loud. She told me I wasn't allowed to hang clothes outside." Another woman snapped. "Made me take down my basketball hoop." Someone else added. Karen's mouth flapped, but no words came out. She looked around, searching for support, and found none. Not even her usual lapdogs were meeting her eyes. I leaned forward. "This is bigger than a bull, Karen. This is about abuse of power. You act like you own this neighborhood. But this isn't your kingdom." And then, for the first time since I moved in, I saw Karen Middleton crack. Her fingers tightened around the edge of the podium. Her face twitched like she was holding in a scream. But she didn't have control anymore. A motion was called. An investigation voted on. And for the first time in HOA history, the Queen Bee was outvoted, unanimously. She stormed out of the room before the meeting ended, and I didn't follow. I just sat there as people clapped me on the back, shook my hand, and whispered things like, "It's about time," and, "She's been a nightmare for years." But the wind didn't bring peace. Not yet. Because the next morning, someone slashed the tires on my truck. 2 deep gouges in the rubber, both rear wheels flat as pancakes. No note. No witnesses. But I didn't need one. This was Karen's warning shot. She wasn't done with me. And I wasn't done with her. I didn't call the cops about the slashed tires. Not because I didn't want to, but because I knew it would go nowhere. There were no cameras on that side of the barn, no footprints in the gravel, no witnesses. And Karen was too smart to leave a paper trail. I could already picture the sheriff shrugging, saying, "No proof it was her," and moving on with his day. So instead of fighting fire with fire, I grabbed a shovel. Not literally, at least not yet. I spent the next week digging through every document I could get my hands on. Property records, HOA meeting minutes, public complaints. I wasn't just looking for a way to hurt Karen. I was looking for the truth. And on the fourth night, after hours of scanning digital PDFs with a cup of cold coffee in my hand, I found it. There it was. Buried in the zoning records from 5 years ago, a disputed property line adjustment on the eastern side of the HOA boundary. The record showed that Karen had pushed to redraw the property lines after she bought her house, claiming a strip of unused land that technically belonged to a retired farmer who moved out of state. She got the HOA to approve it. Quietly. No community vote. Just a signature from the treasurer and a nod from a county clerk who, conveniently, happened to be her cousin. It wasn't just shady, it was illegal. She'd essentially stolen land. And built a massive privacy fence on top of it. I felt a grin stretch across my face, cold and slow. She wanted to play dirty? Fine. Let's get muddy. The next morning, I made 2 stops. First, the county assessor's office, where I requested an official boundary survey. Then, I paid a visit to the former owner of the land Karen had claimed, tracked him down through a friend who still kept in touch with the old ranchers. His name was Hank, and he was more than happy to provide a signed affidavit saying he never sold or transferred those extra yards to anyone. Then I got bold. I printed copies. Clean, highlighted, and stapled into a tidy report. And I marched right up to Karen's front door. She opened it with that same sour smile, but it faltered when she saw me holding papers. "What now?" she said, arms crossed. "You built your fence on stolen land," I said. "And I've got proof." Karen scoffed. "You're grasping. That was approved years ago, by your cousin, illegally. No proper title transfer. And I've already filed the dispute with the county." Her face paled. "You're bluffing. Then you better call your lawyer." I turned and walked away, listening as her front door slammed hard enough to rattle the windows. 2 days later, a county vehicle rolled up to her house. Then a second one. Surveyors walked the line with measuring wheels and clipboards. Karen stood on her porch in a robe, screeching into a phone while they marked flags in her flower beds. By the end of the week, she got the notice: remove the illegal fence or face daily fines. But that wasn't even the best part. Because once the survey was done, they discovered the strip she'd stolen had never been rezoned properly. Which meant her entire pool, the one she bragged about at every HOA barbecue, was technically built across 2 properties. And one of them wasn't hers. The county gave her 30 days to tear it down. The news spread like wildfire. Her kingdom of control crumbled. And just when I thought it was over, a knock came at my door. I opened it to find Officer Reeves from the sheriff's department. "We got a tip," he said, holding up a photo, a trail cam image I didn't even know I had. Clear as day, Karen crouched by my truck, pocket knife in hand. My jaw dropped. "Where'd you get that?" "Anonymous email," he said. "From someone named Community Avenger at Gmail." Karen had gotten sloppy. Or someone close to her finally turned. Either way, they had enough to charge her with property damage and trespassing. But I wasn't out for blood. Not exactly. I just wanted her out. So when the HOA board reconvened to vote on her position as president, I didn't have to say a word. The vote was unanimous. Karen Middleton was removed from office. And as she marched out of that room, red-faced and furious, she paused beside me and hissed, "You think you've won?" I didn't flinch. "I know I have. But it wasn't over yet. Because 2 weeks later, just when peace was starting to settle, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just one line written in all caps. "You killed him first." I froze. Because that handwriting. It wasn't Karen's. And suddenly, I realized something. This wasn't about the HOA anymore. That letter sat on my kitchen table like a coiled snake. I didn't touch it for hours. I just stared at it while the shadows outside grew longer, and the wind whispered through the trees like something was watching. "You killed him first." The words burned into my brain like hot iron. What did it mean? Who sent it? It couldn't have been Karen. I knew her type, vindictive, controlling, petty, but not cryptic. Karen liked control, not mystery. She wanted the world to know when she struck. But this was different. This was a warning. Or a threat. Maybe both. I spent the night going over every detail in my head. The hunters. The fence. The death of Hercules. Was this revenge? Did I miss something bigger? Then I remembered the hunter in the red cap, the one who said Karen told him the land was public. He'd looked familiar at the time, but I was too blinded by rage to place him. So I went digging again. Through local hunting forums, land use boards, even old police logs. And finally, I found him. Tyler Graham. Suspended hunting license. 2 prior trespassing charges. And here's the kicker, he used to be Karen's nephew by marriage. Divorced out of the family, but clearly still tangled in her web. But that's not what made my blood run cold. I found a post from Tyler on a hunting thread from 8 months earlier. A photo of a black Angus bull. My bull. Hercules. Captioned, "This one's a monster. Too bad the owner's hogging him all to herself." He'd been watching us. Plotting this. This wasn't some accident. It wasn't about a mistake in land boundaries. It was personal. I drove to the sheriff's office the next morning and handed over everything. The forum screenshots, the connection to Karen, the threatening letter. Reeves looked it all over, then leaned back in his chair. "You think he was after the bull?" he asked. I nodded. "Or me. But Hercules got in the way. Wouldn't be the first time someone used a hunting rifle to send a message." He promised to investigate, but I didn't wait. That night I rode out to the back pasture. Just me, the wind, and the fence line. I installed 2 new cameras, hidden, high-res, motion-activated. I didn't care if it took days or weeks. I needed closure. 3 nights later I got it. The alert came at 2:43 a.m. I opened the camera feed, and there he was. Tyler. Hunched, creeping along the fence line with something in his hand. Not a gun this time. A gas can. I called Reeves. This time, they caught him before he could strike a match. He confessed. Said Karen promised him access if he helped scare me off the land. Said she told him I didn't belong there. That I was just some city girl playing rancher, ruining the neighborhood. Said he killed Hercules on purpose. Because he thought it would make me leave. It didn't. Karen was arrested for conspiracy and obstruction. Tyler faced charges for animal cruelty, arson intent, and felony trespassing. The news spread faster than wildfire. The neighborhood couldn't believe it. The woman who once fined kids for riding scooters on sidewalks had plotted to destroy someone's livelihood out of spite. She was finished. As for me, I rebuilt. The insurance covered part of the loss, but neighbors and even strangers chipped in to help me buy a new bull. A beautiful young stud I named Justice. Fitting right? I replaced the old fence with a stronger one. Steel posts, electric wire, high enough to stop even the boldest trespasser. And I hung a new sign right in the center of the gate. Private land, trespassers will be prosecuted. And just below that, in smaller letters, in memory of Hercules. You protected this land better than any man ever could. I still ride the perimeter every week. Still hear the echoes of that shot in my head sometimes. But I'm not afraid anymore. Because this ranch? This life? I earned it. And no Karen. No hunter, no past, is ever going to take it from me again.